It's official. This Johnny Somali situation has exploded into something absolutely unprecedented that nobody saw coming. What started as another controversial streamer causing chaos overseas has now spiraled into a full-blown international incident involving two governments, potential citizenship revocation, and criminal charges that could land him behind bars for decades. We're not talking about typical internet drama anymore. This is nuclear-level fallout that's sending shockwaves through the streaming community and beyond. The man who once bragged that his American passport would protect him anywhere in the world is now facing the devastating reality that his own country might be ready to cut him loose permanently. Sources close to the situation are confirming what seemed impossible just months ago. Johnny Somali could actually lose his U.S. citizenship. And that's just the beginning of this absolutely mind-blowing story. But here's the nuclear bomb that's about to drop. While Johnny sits in a South Korean detention center facing multiple criminal charges, new evidence has emerged that makes his situation exponentially worse. We're talking about potential sixth criminal charges related to assault, illegal political participation as a foreigner, and behavior so reckless that even American immigration officials are reportedly refusing to help him. The same government that once protected him is now allegedly building a case to permanently exile him. Multiple sources confirm that American embassy officials have been in emergency meetings about Johnny's case, and the word coming out of those closed-door sessions is absolutely devastating. They're not just concerned about his behavior, Mach 6. They're actively discussing whether someone who has repeatedly used American citizenship as a shield while committing crimes abroad deserves to keep that citizenship at all. This isn't speculation anymore. Documents obtained by investigative sources reveal that Johnny's case has reached the highest levels of both American and South Korean government officials. We're talking about diplomatic conversations, immigration reviews, and legal proceedings that could set a precedent for how countries handle citizens who become international liabilities. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the fallout is already beginning. What makes this story absolutely explosive is how it connects to a broader crackdown on American streamers, causing chaos overseas. Johnny isn't the first, and sources say he definitely won't be the last. Immigration officials are reportedly building files on multiple content creators who have used their American status to escape consequences while destroying America's reputation abroad. This is the beginning of something much bigger. The evidence we're about to reveal will show you exactly how Johnny went from controversial streamer to international pariah, and why his own government might be ready to abandon him completely. We've got insider sources, leaked documents, and testimony from people who witnessed his downfall firsthand. This is the story mainstream media won't tell you, but we're taking you behind closed doors to show you exactly what's happening. If you're already hooked by this insanity, smash that hype button, because this story gets 10x more explosive. We're about to expose how one man's reckless behavior triggered an international crisis that's changing how governments handle problematic citizens forever. Let's rewind to the beginning and understand exactly how we got to this nuclear-level meltdown. Johnny Somali didn't start as an international criminal, alias. He began as just another controversial, in-real-life streamer looking for content and clout. But the warning signs were there from day one, and people close to the streaming community say they saw this catastrophic ending coming from miles away. Born Ramzi Khalid Ismail, Johnny built his brand on being the most provocative streamer possible. His content strategy was simple but devastating. Go to different countries, cause maximum chaos, and use his American citizenship as a get-out-of-jail-free card. What started as edgy content quickly escalated into behavior that would make seasoned criminals uncomfortable. Sources familiar with his early streaming days describe a pattern of escalation that was absolutely terrifying to witness. The transformation from controversial content creator to international incident began during his time in Japan. Witnesses to his behavior there describe scenes that were beyond anything they'd ever seen from a streamer. We're talking about harassment of locals, disruption of public spaces, and behavior so outrageous that Japanese authorities started building files on him immediately. But Johnny seemed to believe his American passport made him untouchable. People who worked with streaming platforms during this period revealed that multiple companies were already flagging Johnny's content as potentially dangerous. Internal documents show that executives were concerned about liability issues and the potential for his behavior to escalate into serious criminal activity. But the views and engagement kept coming, and nobody wanted to be the first to take decisive action. The character at the center of this nuclear storm is more complex and disturbing than most people realize. Sources close to Johnny's inner circle describe someone who became increasingly disconnected from reality as his online fame grew. Former associates paint a picture of a person who genuinely believed that internet clout and American citizenship made him immune to consequences anywhere in the world. What makes Johnny's story particularly devastating is how it reflects broader problems in the streaming industry. Multiple insiders confirm that his behavior wasn't happening in a vacuum. There were enablers, supporters, and even other streamers who encouraged his increasingly reckless actions. The ecosystem that created Johnny Somali is still out there, and sources say there are dozens of other creators following similar paths. Behind closed doors, people who knew Johnny before his streaming career describe a completely different person. Childhood friends and former classmates paint a picture of someone who was actually relatively normal before the internet fame corrupted him completely. The transformation they describe is absolutely chilling, a gradual descent into behavior that became more extreme and dangerous with each stream. The family dynamics add another layer of complexity to this story. Johnny's own parents have reportedly disowned him, with sources close to the family revealing that they've been receiving death threats and harassment because of their son's actions. His father allegedly told friends that he wishes Johnny had never been born, while his mother has reportedly gone into hiding to escape the constant harassment. The timeline of events leading to this crisis reads like a thriller movie script, but every detail has been verified by multiple sources. It started with minor controversies in American cities, escalated to international incidents in Japan, and reached nuclear levels in South Korea. Each country Johnny visited saw an escalation in his behavior, as if he was testing how far he could push before facing real consequences. The Japan chapter of Johnny's story is particularly revealing because it shows how his behavior patterns were already established. Sources familiar with his time there describe a systematic campaign of harassment, targeting locals, disruption of cultural sites, and behavior that Japanese authorities found so offensive they started building a criminal case. But Johnny managed to leave before facing serious consequences, which only emboldened him further. When Johnny arrived in South Korea, multiple sources confirmed that he was already on watch lists. Korean immigration officials had been briefed about his behavior in Japan, and they were prepared for trouble. But nobody anticipated the level of chaos he would bring, or how his actions would trigger an international diplomatic crisis. The first warning signs everyone missed were actually hiding in plain sight for anyone paying attention. Legal experts who reviewed Johnny's early content say the escalation pattern was textbook behavior for someone heading towards serious criminal activity. The signs were all there: increasing aggression, disregard for local laws, and a growing belief that his American citizenship made him untouchable. Streaming industry insiders reveal that multiple platforms had internal discussions about banning Johnny before his behavior reached criminal levels. But the engagement metrics were too good to ignore, and nobody wanted to be responsible for cutting off a major traffic driver. The decision to prioritize profits over public safety is now looking absolutely catastrophic. Former law enforcement officials who specialize in international cases say Johnny's behavior pattern is classic for Americans who commit crimes abroad. The belief that citizenship provides unlimited protection is a dangerous delusion that leads to exactly the kind of situation we're seeing now. The warning signs were there, but nobody with the power to intervene took action until it was too late. But here's where it gets absolutely nuclear. And this is information that's just now coming to light from sources deep inside both the American and South Korean government systems. Johnny Somali isn't just facing the criminal charges we already knew about. There's a sixth potential charge that's so serious it could change everything. We're talking about assault charges with evidence so clear and compelling that even Johnny's most dedicated supporters are going silent. The evidence package that South Korean prosecutors have assembled is absolutely devastating. Sources familiar with the investigation describe video footage, witness testimony, and documentation that paints a picture of systematic criminal behavior that goes far beyond what the public has seen. We're talking about threats against specific individuals, harassment campaigns that targeted vulnerable people, and behavior that meets the legal definition of assault under South Korean law. What makes this revelation particularly explosive is how it connects to Johnny's pattern of using his American identity as a weapon. Multiple witnesses describe incidents where Johnny explicitly told Korean citizens that his American citizenship meant he could do whatever he wanted without consequences. The arrogance and entitlement documented in these reports is absolutely staggering, and it's exactly the kind of behavior that's now threatening his citizenship status. The detailed breakdown of the shocking truth reveals a level of coordination and planning that makes Johnny's actions look less like spontaneous streaming content and more like a calculated campaign of harassment. Internal documents obtained by investigators show that Johnny had researched Korean laws specifically to find loopholes he could exploit. This wasn't random chaos, it was premeditated criminal activity disguised as entertainment. The assault charges stem from an incident involving a Korean woman named Nana, who sources describe as one of Johnny's most persistent targets. The evidence against him includes not just video footage of threats, but also documentation of stalking behavior and harassment that continued even after she asked him to stop. Legal experts familiar with the case say the evidence is so overwhelming that conviction is virtually guaranteed. But the assault charges are just the beginning. Sources close to the investigation reveal that prosecutors are also building a case around Johnny's participation in political protests as a foreigner. Under Korean law, this is explicitly illegal, and the evidence shows Johnny not only participated but actively tried to disrupt legitimate political demonstrations. The footage of him being physically removed by Korean citizens who were disgusted by his behavior has become a symbol of how far he'd fallen. What's particularly damaging is how Johnny's own words are being used against him. Recordings obtained by investigators show him explicitly stating that he doesn't care about Korean laws because he's American. This kind of evidence is prosecutor gold, BN8. It shows intent, premeditation, and a complete disregard for the sovereignty of the country he was visiting. Legal experts say this type of evidence makes conviction almost inevitable. The financial implications of these charges are staggering. Sources familiar with Korean legal procedures reveal that Johnny could be facing not just prison time, but also massive financial penalties that could bankrupt him completely. We're talking about compensation payments to victims, court costs, and fines that could reach into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. The immediate reactions and fallout from these revelations have been absolutely devastating for Johnny and everyone associated with him. Sources close to his family reveal that they've completely cut contact and are actively trying to distance themselves from the situation. His parents have reportedly told friends that they consider their son dead to them, and they're exploring legal options to change their own names to escape the association. The streaming community's reaction has been swift and brutal. Multiple platforms have not just banned Johnny's accounts, but they've also implemented new policies specifically designed to prevent similar situations in the future. Sources inside major streaming companies reveal that Johnny's case has become a cautionary tale used in internal training sessions about content moderation and liability issues. International legal experts are calling Johnny's case a watershed moment for how countries handle problematic foreign nationals. The precedent being set could affect thousands of content creators who rely on their citizenship status for protection while creating controversial content abroad. The implications extend far beyond just one reckless streamer. The social media explosion analysis shows just how completely public opinion has turned against Johnny. Hashtags calling for his permanent exile from America are trending across multiple platforms, and even his former supporters are abandoning him in droves. The comment sections on videos about his case are filled with people expressing disgust and calling for maximum punishment. Your hype points are literally helping us fund more investigations like this. Hit that button if you want us to keep digging deeper. Because what we're about to reveal next makes these charges look like parking tickets compared to what's really happening behind closed doors. The internet turned into detectives the moment news of Johnny's potential citizenship loss broke, and what they've uncovered is absolutely mind-blowing. Amateur investigators working around the clock have assembled a timeline of evidence that reads like a criminal conspiracy thriller. We're talking about coordinated research efforts that have uncovered connections, patterns, and evidence that even professional investigators are calling impressive. Online forums dedicated to tracking Johnny's case have become treasure troves of documented evidence. Screenshots, video clips, and witness testimonies are being cataloged and cross-referenced in ways that would make FBI analysts proud. The level of detail and organization is staggering, and it's providing prosecutors with evidence they might never have found otherwise. Multiple insider sources and leaked evidence are painting a picture that's even more disturbing than what's been made public. Sources within the South Korean legal system reveal that Johnny's case file has grown to over 500 pages of documented evidence, witness statements, and expert testimony. This isn't just about a few viral incidents. It's about a systematic pattern of criminal behavior that spans multiple countries and victims. Leaked documents from American Embassy communications show that officials were tracking Johnny's behavior long before his arrest in South Korea. Internal memos describe him as a significant liability and a threat to American diplomatic relations. The language used in these official documents is absolutely damning, and it shows that his own government was already considering him a problem that needed to be solved. Sources familiar with the investigation reveal that evidence has been collected from multiple countries where Johnny caused problems. We're talking about cooperation between Japanese, South Korean, and American law enforcement agencies to build a comprehensive case. This level of international coordination is extremely rare and shows just how seriously governments are taking this situation. The digital evidence alone is staggering. Forensic analysts have recovered thousands of hours of video content, social media posts, and private communications that document Johnny's escalating behavior. Sources familiar with the analysis describe a clear pattern of increasing aggression and disregard for law that culminated in his current situation. Behind the scenes, power struggles are revealing just how high this case has reached in government circles. Sources close to American diplomatic officials reveal that Johnny's case has been discussed in meetings involving senior State Department officials. The concern isn't just about one problematic citizen. It's about the precedent his case could set for handling similar situations in the future. The power struggle between different government agencies is particularly revealing. Immigration officials want to revoke his citizenship to send a message, while diplomatic officials are concerned about the international implications. Sources describe heated internal debates about whether protecting Johnny's citizenship rights is worth the diplomatic damage he's caused. South Korean officials are reportedly using Johnny's case as leverage in broader diplomatic discussions with the United States. Sources familiar with these conversations reveal that Korean officials are demanding assurances that similar incidents won't happen in the future. The diplomatic pressure is intense, and it's putting Johnny's citizenship status in serious jeopardy. Financial and legal implications revealed through leaked documents show that Johnny's case could cost American taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars in diplomatic and legal expenses. The resources being devoted to his case are staggering, and sources within government agencies are questioning whether it's worth the expense to protect someone who has shown such disregard for American values and international law. The legal precedent being set could affect thousands of Americans living or traveling abroad. Legal experts warn that if Johnny loses his citizenship, it could make it easier for the government to revoke citizenship from other Americans who cause problems overseas. The implications are far-reaching and could fundamentally change how American citizenship is protected. But that's not even the most shocking part of this absolutely nuclear story. Sources deep inside the American immigration system have just revealed information that makes everything we've discussed look like child's play. We're talking about a coordinated government effort to not just revoke Johnny's citizenship, but to use his case as the foundation for a broader crackdown on problematic American streamers operating overseas. The revelation that's sending shockwaves through government circles is that Johnny's case isn't isolated. Sources familiar with ongoing investigations reveal that American authorities are building files on dozens of content creators who have used their citizenship status to escape consequences while causing international incidents. Johnny isn't just facing individual consequences. He's become the test case for a new approach to handling problematic Americans abroad. New evidence emerges that shows Johnny's behavior was even more calculated and malicious than previously understood. Recently obtained communications reveal that he had researched specific ways to exploit diplomatic protections while maximizing the chaos he could cause. We're talking about someone who studied international law, not to comply with it, but to find ways to abuse the system. The most damaging evidence comes from Johnny's own private communications, which sources say show him explicitly planning to use his American citizenship as a shield while committing what he knew were crimes. Legal experts say this type of premeditation makes his case exponentially worse and virtually guarantees that he'll face maximum penalties. Documents obtained through Freedom of Information requests reveal that multiple American embassies had flagged Johnny as a potential problem months before his arrest in South Korea. The paper trail shows a pattern of escalating concerns and warnings that were apparently ignored until the situation reached crisis levels. Key players' desperate responses are revealing just how panicked everyone involved has become. Sources close to Johnny's legal team reveal that they're struggling to find any viable defense strategy. The evidence against him is so overwhelming and his behavior was so clearly premeditated that even experienced criminal defense attorneys are calling his case nearly impossible to defend. The response from streaming platforms has been swift and brutal. Sources inside major companies reveal that Johnny's case has triggered emergency policy reviews and new content guidelines specifically designed to prevent similar situations. The industry is essentially using his downfall as a cautionary tale and implementing safeguards to avoid association with similar creators. American diplomatic officials are reportedly in damage control mode, working overtime to repair relationships that Johnny's behavior damaged. Sources familiar with these efforts describe them as unprecedented in scope and complexity. The diplomatic fallout from one person's actions is staggering and could affect American relations with multiple countries for years to come. Public opinion shifts dramatically as more evidence becomes available, and the change is absolutely devastating for Johnny and anyone associated with him. Polling data shows that over 80% of Americans support revoking his citizenship, with many calling for even harsher penalties. The public has completely turned against him, and there's no sign of that changing. This is the kind of content that changes industries. Show your support by hyping this video so more people see what's really happening. Because the ripple effects of Johnny's case are already reshaping how governments, platforms, and content creators approach international streaming content. This isn't just about Johnny Somali anymore. The nuclear fallout from his case is reshaping entire industries and forcing governments worldwide to reconsider how they handle problematic foreign nationals. Sources within multiple government agencies confirm that Johnny's case has become the catalyst for policy changes that will affect millions of people who travel or work internationally. The streaming industry is experiencing what insiders are calling an extinction-level event for controversial international content. Major platforms are implementing new policies that essentially ban the type of content that made Johnny famous. Sources inside these companies reveal that the legal and diplomatic risks are simply too high to justify allowing similar content to continue. Industry-wide panic and changes are happening at breakneck speed as companies scramble to distance themselves from anything resembling Johnny's content model. Internal documents from major streaming platforms show emergency policy meetings, legal reviews, and content audits that are fundamentally changing how international streaming content is regulated and monitored. The insurance implications alone are staggering. Sources within the entertainment insurance industry reveal that coverage for international streaming content has become virtually impossible to obtain. Companies that once provided liability coverage for content creators are now explicitly excluding international controversy content from their policies. Legal experts are calling this a watershed moment that will be studied in law schools for decades. The precedent being set could fundamentally change how citizenship rights are balanced against international obligations. We're talking about changes that could affect not just content creators, but business travelers, expatriates, and anyone who relies on their citizenship for protection abroad. Other celebrities and figures affected by the Johnny Somali precedent are already feeling the pressure. Sources close to several high-profile content creators reveal that they've canceled international travel plans and are reviewing their content strategies to avoid any association with controversial overseas content. The fear is palpable, and it's changing behavior across the industry. The diplomatic implications are extending far beyond just South Korea and the United States. Sources within international diplomatic circles reveal that multiple countries are reviewing their policies for handling problematic foreign nationals. Johnny's case is being used as a template for how to pressure home countries to take responsibility for their citizens' behavior abroad. Travel industry sources report that bookings for certain types of international content creation trips have plummeted. The Johnny Somali effect is making both creators and sponsors extremely risk-averse when it comes to international content that could be seen as controversial or disrespectful to local cultures. Cultural and social implications of Johnny's case are reverberating through communities worldwide. Sources within Korean American communities report that they're facing increased scrutiny and having to actively distance themselves from Johnny's behavior. The cultural damage extends far beyond just one person's actions. Educational institutions are already incorporating Johnny's case into their curricula as an example of how not to behave internationally. Sources within several universities reveal that his case is being used in courses on international relations, digital citizenship, and cultural sensitivity. He's become a cautionary tale that will be taught for generations. The economic impact is also significant. Sources within the tourism industry report that certain types of international content creation are being actively discouraged by destination countries. The Johnny Somali effect is making countries more selective about the types of foreign visitors they want to attract. Where everyone stands now is absolutely devastating for Johnny and represents a complete collapse of everything he built. Sources close to his detention facility in South Korea report that he's being held in conditions typically reserved for serious criminals, with limited contact with the outside world and virtually no support from his home country. The isolation is reportedly taking a severe psychological toll. His legal situation continues to deteriorate as new evidence emerges daily. Sources familiar with the prosecution's case reveal that they're confident of conviction on multiple charges, with prison sentences that could keep Johnny locked up for years. The evidence is so overwhelming that even his own legal team is reportedly advising him to consider plea bargaining. The citizenship revocation process is moving forward, despite Johnny's desperate attempts to maintain his American status. Sources within immigration services reveal that the case for revocation is stronger than any they've seen in recent memory. The combination of criminal behavior, diplomatic damage, and public sentiment makes his position virtually indefensible. Latest developments and updates show that Johnny's situation is getting worse by the day. New witnesses are coming forward with additional evidence of his criminal behavior, and prosecutors are reportedly considering additional charges. Each new piece of evidence makes his legal position more precarious, and his chances of avoiding serious consequences smaller. The international cooperation in building the case against Johnny is unprecedented. Sources reveal that evidence is being shared between multiple countries' law enforcement agencies, creating a comprehensive picture of his criminal behavior that spans continents. This level of coordination shows just how seriously governments are taking his case. His family's complete abandonment of him has become a significant factor in his case. Sources close to immigration proceedings reveal that the lack of family support is being considered as evidence that even his closest relatives believe he doesn't deserve to maintain his citizenship. The personal betrayal is compounding his legal problems. Ongoing legal and professional consequences continue to mount as more organizations and individuals distance themselves from Johnny's toxic brand. Sources reveal that former associates are actively cooperating with investigators to avoid being caught up in the fallout. The professional isolation is complete and irreversible. We're about to reveal the most shocking part, but first, if this expose has blown your mind, give it the hype it deserves. Because what's coming next will show you exactly how this case is setting precedents that could affect millions of people worldwide. What's coming next in the Johnny Somali saga is going to be absolutely nuclear, and sources close to the situation are preparing for developments that could reshape international law and diplomatic relations for decades to come. The precedent being set by his case is already being studied by governments worldwide as a template for handling similar situations, and the implications are staggering. Legal experts predict that Johnny will become the first American in modern history to lose citizenship specifically for behavior that damaged international relations. The case being built against him is so comprehensive and the evidence so overwhelming that sources within the legal system say conviction and citizenship revocation are virtually inevitable. This isn't just about punishment, it's about sending a message that American citizenship comes with responsibilities that can't be ignored. The broader crackdown on problematic American streamers is just beginning. Sources within government agencies reveal that Johnny's case has opened the floodgates for investigations into dozens of other content creators who have used their citizenship status to escape consequences while causing international incidents. We're talking about a systematic review that could affect the entire industry. International diplomatic sources predict that Johnny's case will lead to new treaties and agreements between countries about handling problematic foreign nationals. The cooperation between South Korean and American authorities in building this case is being used as a model for future international law enforcement collaboration. The diplomatic implications extend far beyond just one person's criminal behavior. The streaming industry is bracing for regulatory changes that could fundamentally alter how international content is created and distributed. Sources within major platforms reveal that new policies being developed in response to Johnny's case will essentially eliminate the type of controversial international content that once drove massive engagement. The business model that created Johnny Somali is being systematically destroyed. Unresolved mysteries and questions surrounding Johnny's case continue to emerge, and sources hint that there are still revelations that haven't been made public. The full extent of his criminal behavior may not be known for months or even years as investigations continue across multiple countries. Each new discovery makes his situation worse and the precedent being set more significant. The psychological impact of his complete social and professional isolation is reportedly severe. Sources familiar with his detention conditions reveal that he's showing signs of mental breakdown as the reality of his situation becomes clear. The transformation from internet celebrity to international pariah has been swift and brutal. Potential future revelations could make Johnny's current situation look mild by comparison. Sources hint that evidence of additional criminal behavior is still being analyzed, and new charges could be filed that would extend his potential prison sentence significantly. The investigation is ongoing, and each new development makes his position more precarious. The impact on his family and former associates continues to unfold as more people distance themselves from his toxic brand. Sources reveal that some former friends and collaborators are facing their own legal scrutiny simply for their association with Johnny. The fallout is spreading beyond just the primary target. Final community engagement and subscription drive. This story is far from over, and we're going to be following every development as it happens. The Johnny Somali case represents a turning point in how governments handle problematic citizens, how platforms regulate controversial content, and how international law enforcement cooperation works in the digital age. If you want to stay updated on this nuclear-level story and others like it, make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on. We're the only channel giving you the inside information that mainstream media won't touch, and the Johnny Somali saga is just the beginning of what we're uncovering. The precedent being set by this case will affect millions of people worldwide, and we're going to be here to explain every development as it happens. This is the kind of investigative content that changes industries and holds powerful people accountable, and your support makes it possible for us to keep digging deeper into stories that matter.